Whoop, let's go.
Alright, so I'm just in the loading screen now. I'm going to be going live in 5, 4, 3, 2. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the European Racing Series. We are here at Silverstone for round 9 of season 8 here in Tier 1. Now, we've seen a lot of action in the past weeks, and I think something that I should mention is, as usual, I've got the wonderful Steph alongside me. Steph, how are you doing today?
I'm very much looking forward to this race. Technically, it's our home race, so we're very much looking forward to it. It's going to be a good one.
Yeah, this will be a really interesting race. A lot of people know Silverstone for the action that it provides. It's very technical, but it also has many overtaking zones for the daring drivers that want to do so. So a quick run over of the championship standings. It is Vexit leading from Get Owned, and then it will be Yonti in P3 in the championship. So those top three still battling for the top position, and I'm sure those battles will convert to on track as well.
100%. I mean, Vexit DNF'd last week in Austria, so he'll definitely be looking to re-extend his championship lead from P1. And Get Owned was second, I believe, last time. We had a Renault P1, P2, so that was a fantastic week for them. And Get Owned is, definitely on the tail of Vexit at the minute.
Yep, Milan and Get Owned doing an amazing job in that Renault car last week at Austria. We saw some brilliant points on the tables for them that definitely boosted their Constructors' Championships, and I'm sure it will very much boost their Drivers' Championships as well.
Indeed, I mean, that incredible weekend that they had last week has pushed them up into the P1 spot in the Constructors' Championship. So Renault is currently leading. They've taken the crown away from AlphaTauri at the minute, so Lando's Milkman and Vexit will both be looking to score a hefty amount of points today to try and retake that first position.
Yeah, Lando's Milkman and Vexit, both very quick drivers, both capable of some brilliant results, but recently not being the most consistent drivers, and I think that's really why the Renault boys have just been able to pip them recently.
Yeah, so Vexit did start off the season incredibly well, very dominant. But we've seen him slip off in the last couple of races with the DNF that we had last time. Even though he did qualify on pole position the week before, we had a dodgy qualifying when he ended up starting from the back of the grid. So Vexit is going to be looking to get right back on it for this race today and hopefully put it on pole position and then convert that into a win or a podium.
Yeah, but let's talk about the driver in P2 of the championship right now, as we are about to see. This is Get Owned to go on to his flying lap right now. He makes his way down the recently renamed Hamilton Straight as he makes his way into Abbey, carrying as much speed and just having minimal travel around the corner now, as we see that McLaren in the background just trying to get out of the way of the Renault as he makes his way and lock up into the loop, like we see from many drivers as they make their way down Aintree now onto the Wellington Straight and down into the infamous corner of Brooklyn's a very good overtaking zone, especially because of the DRS that they have enabled. Purple Sector 1 there from Get Owned, so looking very strong for now. We've seen quite a few lockups from him, so that will lose him a little bit of time, but that's just a couple of mistakes for him to iron out as he goes round Woodcote and down into Cops now, and pretty much into most drivers' favourite section on the track, Maggots and Beckers. I don't think any driver can fault it, and it's so much fun carrying all the speed and drop to 7th on the second apex as he makes his way through Chapel now, and he's going to make his way onto the Hangar Straight, DRS enabled, up through the gears. 8th gear, maximizing the revs as he's go down into Stowe now, heavy braking at the beginning of the curve, down into 6th, trying to get it turned in, using all the track available, but not going over the track limits as he makes his way into Club now. A massive lockup on the front left. That'll lose him a lot of time and a lot of speed. He just tries to get his foot planted as soon as possible. He's going to go down the Hamilton Straight once again, cross the line for 123.896. Wonderful lap there from Get Owned, and pips his championship rival, Vexit. He is nearly 700ths off the back of the Renault.
Yeah, so I was riding on board with Vexit during his flying lap, and it was looking very, very clean. Clearly not as on the edge as Get Owned was, but he was properly riding the curbs. We do have a couple of sausage curbs around some of these corners, but Vexit careful to avoid those. A good lap from our top two, and it's definitely looking like it's going to be a battle between our top two in the championship as well today.
Yeah, it looks like Get Owned is on perfect form right now for this race. He's came straight into qualifying and shown the speed that he's able to put on the table. Couple of mistakes on that lap as well, so amazing to beat Vexit on that. So as soon as he irons out those mistakes, cleans up the lap a little bit, puts it all under the closet, he'll be able to set some brilliant lap times here in qualifying. Remember, there is still 12 minutes, 30 seconds remaining on the clock, so a lot of time to improve for these drivers.
Yeah, what I am very impressed with is we seem to have quite a few times on the board. So if I take you back to the last couple of weeks, we have been halfway through qualifying sessions and half of the drivers don't have times on the board. So we have 17 of the 20 drivers currently with times on the board, which is a very, very positive thing, I think. So yeah, it will be a bit of a fight as we enter the last few minutes of qualifying to see if anyone will be able to up their games, because it is very close right now.
Yeah, so we see most of the drivers making their way back into the pits, as that looks like the case for most of the drivers. Fragioko making his way into the pits. Lando's Milkman actually on a flying lap here. He's going to make his way into the final section of the track. This is Maggot and Beckett. It's looking like he is running a little bit low on fuel, though, as he coasts off into Maggots and Beckett. This isn't looking like a flying lap here from Lando's Milkman, unless he's trying to set some sort of region point for the mediums, which I don't think we'd really be seeing. Yeah, coasting off massively is Lando's Milkman. He is going to be getting out of the way of Peso there, and I'm sure he'll be making his way back to the pits himself.
Yeah, not the best start for Lando's Milkman. Is currently in P16 with the time that he had set previously. But yeah, as you said, back into the pits right now, new set of tyres on, and he'll go... not a new set of tyres on, but he'll go again and see what he'll be able to do.
Peso, the driver that was getting past Lando's Milkman there, improves his lap time, goes up to P7, 124.261. Great lap there from Peso, and I'm sure he'll be able to improve that as the session goes on and the track starts to evolve even more. Copy, he's on a lap, but he's not on a lap as well. He's not pushing to his full potential, as we see a couple of drivers on their out lap now. We have Ace, Domi, and Sandro. Now, many drivers know Ace for his pure speed. He knows everything that he can do. As he crosses the line now, he's going to start his flying lap. Let's go on board with him as he makes his way through the first couple of corners, through the first couple of sections. He's going to make his way down into Village and through the hairpin of the loop, minimizing the lockup on the front left, which we see so much from so many drivers, and it can just basically ruin your exit out of the corner. Makes his way down the Wellington Straight now into Brooklands. It is a purple sector 1 from Ace right now, so this is looking beautiful from the bright pink racing point as he makes his way through Lovefield now and through Woodcote as well. He's going to make his way down the short run, the short straight to Cops. As he makes his way down through Cops now, keeping the pedal to the metal, keeping it in 8th gear. He's going to go into Maggots and Beckett, keeping it flat. I'm sure he's going to break through Beckett and through... Oh, that's going to be nearly in the way of his teammate. Tierman, we saw him. I'm guessing that's a little bit of slipstream for Ace there, but we saw him looking left and right. Where was he going to go as his teammate nearly gets in the way of his lap time? But as he makes his way through the final corner now, well, the final section now of Club, he's just going to put his foot down and hope for the best, get a good run out of this corner, and it could be a beautiful lap from Ace. It's only going to be 6th for the Racing Point, a 124.204.
Oh, yeah, that was really disappointing because he was absolutely storming through that lap until we saw him hit that little bit of traffic. So I think that was definitely a determining factor in why he couldn't get further up the field, but he'll definitely be going into the pits, coming for a new, and then going out for a new run.
Yeah, and that's a shame from Ace there. It was looking like so much potential in the first and second sector until, unfortunately, you did see his teammate, and I can't remember what car it was, but another car get in the way of his flying lap time. So that's really not what you want to see from a driver's perspective. But we do have our leading drivers on hot laps right now. One of those is Vexit. Steph, do you want to talk us through the lap?
I can do indeed. We have Vexit, and he is just beginning this lap, and we know that Vexit is a very, very quick driver in qualifying, heading down to Brooklands now and taking all of the apex of that corner. And we've just seen Hazard's left the session. Interesting, but yes, riding on all of the corners, and we know that Vexit likes to test the limits of track, test the track limits as we see him moving through these corners. And yes, we are seeing coming to the favourite part of the circuit for many of these drivers, Maggots and Beckett's, and absolutely abusing all of those corners and taking it to the maximum. And I've just lost views. Oh, but I'm back. Oh.
You okay there,
Sorry,
Steph? I will take over.
Having a few issues with the game. I did just lose views as Vexit comes through club corner. And how is this going to be? It was a beautiful, beautiful lap time, and he has jumped right up into P1. Apologies, I had a few connection issues throughout that lap, but yes, it was stunning. A beautiful lap from Vexit, and he's gone all the way up into first position.
No issues at all. Beautiful lap there from Vexit to top the timing tables, setting it purple with that 123.760. I'm sure Vexit will be pleased with that lap time, as he does jump his competitor in the Renault, which is Get-Owned, second in championship and second in standings. Funnily enough, the top three in the championship are top three in quali. What's that say about this race?
Well, I definitely think it's going to be a very spicy on-track battle between the three of them, because they're all going to be vying for that top P1 spot so that they can get the maximum championship points. I just think that this is setting us up beautifully for a lovely championship battle for the rest of the season as well. If Get-Owned and Yonti and Rainbow can all get on the back of Vexit, whose lead is shrinking in the standings. So I'm very much excited to see what Get-Owned, Rainbow and Yonti will be able to do if they can close that gap a little bit further this weekend.
Now, I don't know if you noticed this, Steph, but Milan crosses the line in the other Renault and sets an identical lap time to his teammate. Both of the Renaults, P2 and P3 right now, both with 123.896. Nothing separating the two teammates, and I think this really does show the caliber of driving from these two drivers and how close this field is. Well, you say how close, I'm trying to find anything that separates them.
Well, clearly there is nothing that's separating them at the minute, but they are very, very closely matched. We saw them dueling it out for a large portion of Austria last week, and they ended up in P1 and P2, so it could definitely go either of their way. We could see both Renaults on the podium, we could see neither Renaults on the podium. It could be very, very interesting, but they are very well matched as teammates, and they'll definitely be ones to watch in the race.
Yeah, two Renault teammates, they definitely pose each other a challenge, and I think that's always great to see. But now is the moment that I like to call the calm before the storm. This is where all the drivers get themselves back into the pit lane, get themselves composed and ready for their flying lap time. Well, their final flying run on the track. The surface will be lit up with grip and rubber being placed down, as we see one of the Williams drivers taking a little bit too much of the exit of Maggots and Beckett's, well, through Chapel actually. But you see pretty much the majority of the grid in the pit, sorry. But one driver who isn't, that is Ben. Ben in the Mercedes, he's he's on an out lap. Ben, unfortunately, has not scored any points yet in this series. He's shown serious pace, and he's been in massive contention for great amounts of points, but just hasn't been able to make it to the line.
Yeah, what we've seen is Ben is exceptional in qualifying. qualifying. We've seen him with a pole position around Baku, I think it was, and that was incredible. But sometimes he's just not able to switch that car on in the actual race, so it would be very, very interesting to see whether he'll be able to hold position in this race if he manages to qualify well and, you know, keep it in the points for this session.
Yep, so Ben, the Mercedes driver, you can see him storming through Maggots and Beckett's right now. This will be interesting indeed to see what he's able to do on this lap. He's going to make his way into the final complex before he gets himself ready for this lap. But you see his teammate coming up behind him. Was that actually a DRS slip there from Ben? Gives Hazard DRS. Hazard was actually on a flying lap. Sorry, did not notice that one at all. But that was beautifully executed from the Mercedes teammates.
Yeah, that was definitely very, very sneaky, and let's see where that's going to get Hazard. Has it got him anywhere interesting? He's in P19, so...
I think it might have been invalidated.
Yeah, it must have been, because he clearly did not pick up the benefit of that toe. But yeah, it was very, very sneaky. I like to see a good bit of team games, and we're riding on board with Ben right now, who has just performed a massive lock-up. So this isn't not going to be the best lap for him as he comes down the Wellington straight and comes up to Brooklands and this beautiful little hairpin section of track. Silverstone is a very, very full throttle lap. As we know, we are full throttle for around 70 to 80% of the lap. And as we come up, we're gonna get to the sector 2 and watch Ben go through the beautiful corners of Maggots, Beckett and Chapel, which are high speed corners, and he's riding all of the exits. This isn't looking like the quickest lap we've seen from Ben. So...
Yeah, you can see a little bit tentative on the throttle, and I think that's coasting off for Ben. He's realised that it's not the best of his abilities, and he is going to go again. So it is going to be a second run from the Mercedes driver. You can see the red tail light flashing around the Ineos sponsor. Ben will get himself prepared for his, well, hopefully his final flying lap here in Silverstone. P14 completely out of the top 10 right now, but will he be able to change the fact of that as he makes his way onto a flying lap here at Silverstone, makes his way through the first corner, using all the curb available to him, using all of the track available to him as well. He's going to break 75 meters as he makes his way into Village, and now the loop. You can see a massive lockup on the front left, and it looks like the rear end isn't very happy with him either as he makes his way onto the Wellington straight now. Not the best of runs there from Ben, and I'm sure he knows that he'll be able to do better, but it's now or never for the Mercedes driver as he makes his way round Luffield now. He's going to make his way round Woodcotes, and he's going to make his way down the short stretch before he makes his way to Cops, the hopefully flat-out right-hander, using all the curb on the inside and the outside, not invalidating his lap time. Very easy to do so in that place as he makes his way through Maggots and Beckett, downshift to 7th, just before the third apex, and 6th as he makes his way round Chapel Curve now onto the hangar straight. All he has to do is get it right through these final sections of the track. He's going to make it round Stone now, breaks around the 50-meter board. This is going to be the end of qualifying as he goes down into Club now. Down to 3rd, use the curb on the inside and the second part of the corner up through the gears for no wheel spin. He's going to go across the line. What's it going to be for Ben? It's not going to be an improvement. It's going to be P15.
Yeah, not a great lap from Ben, but I am currently riding on board with with Vexit, should I say, who is on his final flying lap. And he's currently blasting down the hangar straight and coming into sector 3. This is looking like a very, very tidy lap. Oh, and he's invalidated! Oh, my God, that's a massive accident! So that is not what you want from Vexit, and Milan has just beaten his P1 time anyway. So, oh wow, Vexit was just pushing so hard that he just lost it, which is so disappointing from him, because it was looking like an absolute stormer before he invalidated and then ended up crashing. So very, very disappointing for him.
I think this might be Milan for pole. Rainbow's had to back out of his lap. Get Owned had invalidated his lap. Ace improves. He makes his way up to P4, but he doesn't improve into the top 3. Danico snatches P3 from the Renault driver of Get Owned. Second in the championship, but 5th in quali right now. Luca up to P2. So close between these drivers, but Milan, he holds on to P1, and he's going to secure it for the race.
Oh yeah, absolutely fabulous pole position from Milan. Definitely proud. Over around about a tenth of a second ahead of Luca in P2. So that is brilliant, and that's exactly where he's going to want to be starting. But disappointing for teammate Get Owned. They were on the exact same time at one point during this qualifying session, but Get Owned was just not on the pace of Milan for that final flying run.
Yep, so as we see the end of qualifying now, we will go over the final finishing order with you shortly. As it shows up on our screen, the final finishing order for qualifying is going to be Milan on pole for the British Grand Prix. Then it is going to be Luca in P2, snatches it right at the end. Then Vexit in P3, Danico 4th. Get Owned drops all the way down to 5th in the other Renault. Then it's going to be Ace in 6th. Rainbow, Tierman, Domi, and Huge rounding out the top 10 in qualifying. Best of the rest for the Ferrari is going to be Fragioco. Then it's going to be Pezzo, Bika, Copy, Dennis, Ben, Sandro, Yonti, Landers Milkman, and finally it's going to be Hazard rounding out the grid here today for what will sure to be a brilliant race.
Yeah. Oh, and we can see that there is rain. We always love a bit of rain at Silverstone. It definitely throws a spanner in the works and is going to even out the field a little bit, because everyone is going to have to be starting on either the intermediates or what is looking like likely the wet tyres, because it looks pouring. It looks like it is soaking on the track, and there's going to be a lot of standing water. So, oh, this has just added a spanner to the works. I'm very, very excited now.
I think it's fair to say this is pretty self-explanatory for British weather. 1 minute it's sunny, and then the other minute it's absolutely pouring with rain. This will be a massive challenge for these drivers, and it will be who's able to adapt to these conditions the quickest and who's able to take advantage of it.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what it's a case of. And as we see the drivers are on the grid now, we're about to start the formation lap. They're going to have to be very, very careful, because even last weekend in F1, we saw that there were a few spins on the formation lap due to the wet conditions. So the drivers are going to want to be very, very careful.
The thing is that it's not just intermediate tires either. You can see the track is a glossy black. As you see, the predicted pit stop strategy will be a 2-stop on the wet tires. And this really doesn't look like it's going to be clearing up any soon. I think I'd lose count the amount of standing water on the track right now. And this is going to be really difficult for these drivers. And I think, especially for us, maybe not for them, this is going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, definitely, definitely. It's a real test of skill for the drivers when it is when it's wet, and we know that a lot can happen at Silverstone when it's wet. So Milan has probably got himself in the best possible position as long as he can keep hold of that P1 position. He's going to have that clear visibility while all the other drivers are going to be in the spray behind. So if Milan can hold on to P1, he's definitely in for a good race if he does not make any mistakes. So it's going to be very, very interesting, but I can tell you now that the order we can see the cars in is not going to be the order that they're going to finish.
Yeah, I think that is a very fair statement to make. As we know, a lot of things can change, especially the conditions, but with the sky that we see right now, it's just grey as far as the eye can see. And actually, I can hardly see halfway across the track. Never mind see the driver ahead of me introducing this. Ooh, that was very close between Vexit and Luca as the AIs take control. I was going to say, it's going to be pretty much impossible to see the driver ahead of you in the corner ahead of you with the amount of spray coming off these cars.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, riding on board with Milan right now, you can hardly see in front of him because it's still coming down with rain. So it's not like this rain is going to be clearing up anytime soon. We are not going to be seeing a dry line exposed on the track, because it is still pouring it down as all the drivers make their way into final position for the beginning of this, what I predict to be a very chaotic race.
Yep, and as the drivers line up now, we will very shortly see the infamous red light show up on the dash. It's going to be, the lights are about to go on now to 3, 4, and 5 red lights here in Silverstone. And it is going to be lights out, and away we go. Milan gets a beautiful start as he jumps off the line brilliantly. Let's have a look as the drivers make their way down into turn 1. Is there going to be any incidents? That's very, very wide there. And that was one of the Red Bulls. And there is also, which I think is Domi, getting squeezed off the track there by Tiamin. Tiamin and Domi going side by side. You can see the 2 Alfa Romeos. That's a Ferrari going astray through Village Corner, and you can see the drivers. It looks like everyone made it through safely. But as we pan our view back to the front of the grid, there's a yellow flag already. Who's that off? I think that is Pezzo off. Yeah, that's unfortunately Pezzo in the Williams. He is round. Doesn't seem like he's got any damage, but that is definitely hindered the start for him. We saw Luca and Milan scrap off the line. Beautiful battling from them. And the Red Bulls taking advantage of the start.
Yeah, I think it was turn 3 that he managed to get that move done, and it was just right around the outside of Milan, and it was absolutely fabulous. And Vexit actually was getting involved in that little scrap, but it's now fallen back a little bit from Milan, giving Milan a little bit of breathing room, and is probably struggling with visibility out there. So yeah, it could definitely be a very, very interesting scrap between those two. But massive props to Luca for that move off the start line, because that was absolutely fabulous. And you can see that he's moving into the distance now, and Milan is dropping back.
Yep, Milan is very much dropping back now as Luca 7/10 in the lead. It looks like the Red Bull driver knew this was coming, and he's commanding the field right now. You can see the Red Bull just sliding around the final corner, but Luca, he seems to know what he's doing here. Takes the corners at beautiful speeds, taking pretty much the dry lines as well. Shifting on the straights to keep traction. Now, that's one thing that I thought I'd never see in the Formula 1 game.
Oh, and we've got a yellow flag. So what do we have there? I think that might be Ben who has had an incident. And is falling down.
Yeah, that
the
seems
order.
like it.
Yeah.
Oh,
and that's another spin from Ben as he goes onto the grass. So he has clearly not got that car under control in the wet, and it's not going well for him so far because he's sliding all over the place. So yeah, we've seen that there are a lot of changes down the order at the minute, and I think that everyone is struggling with visibility and getting those cars properly figured out in these wet conditions, shall we say.
Yeah, and something to note for Ben is he's missing his front right end plate, so there has been some sort of contact there for the Mercedes driver. Either it was with a wall or another driver. Either way, there is some damage that Ben is carrying around right now, and that's definitely not going to help the downforce and the control of the car.
No, it's just made his life 10 times more difficult, really. So wonder who that contact was with, and whether we have another car with any damage on the grid. But we are seeing this leading fight. We're seeing Vexit kind of dropping off from the leading fight, shall we say. I mean, if we look on board with Vexit right now, Milan is not massively in the distance, but Vexit is not on the tail of Milan as we've seen him to be in previous races. And that might just be due to the visibility. But on the back of Vexit is Ace, who is looking to the outside to make a move. Can't quite get it to stick, but he is right with Vexit going through those corners and coming into going through sector 1. So yeah, definitely keep an eye on Ace as he is right on the back right now.
Yeah, I don't know if he caught on it, Steph, but Ace, he tried to go around the outside of Vexit through the final corner. Obviously didn't plan out for the Racing Point driver. Vexit able to hold his line. Ace may argue that he was squeezed off the track, but either way, the Racing Point is still behind Vexit. This is a great battle for P3 right here. And I think Ace really suiting to the conditions, and I'm sure he would very much like to suit into that P3.
Oh yeah, definitely. And as we can see that while Vexit is defending from Ace in P4, he is falling back from Milan and that fight for the top 2 spots. So that must be the defending taking a toll. And we've got another yellow flag. So who who I wonder has gone off and had a spin? I think
That is
it's
Sandro. Yeah, that is unfortunately Sandro going round. Ben still driving with the damage. That's a very interesting choice there from the Mercedes. He's still missing his front right end plate, but he's seeming to manage to keep it on track.
Yeah, well, I'm sure I would have thought the damage would have been very difficult to drive with, but I'm assuming that Ben is finding the damage manageable because he's not massively dropping off. I mean, he's even closing that gap to Peso, which had extended after the incident that Ben had had. So, yeah, it's clearly working for him. We'll see how that works out and whether he's going to have a new front wing when he pits inevitably for a new set of wets eventually in this race.
Ooh, Ace all over the back. Ooh, that's very close between contact of Vexit and Ace. Ace looked for a dive bomb up the inside into Village, and that did not pay off for either of them as they're losing time to the drive behind. Get Owned is right on them now. We'll have to keep an eye on the Renault and his charge onto the two drivers ahead. Vexit not having the best of races here in the wet. Nearly 3 seconds off his competitor ahead.
Yeah, Vexit is one driver that is great at sticking to the back of a driver, but he just seems to be falling behind, so clearly cannot get this car switched on in these changeable conditions. So, yeah, very, very, very difficult race for him to begin with, but let's see if he can kind of grasp that car and start to close that gap up to Milan again. And looking at this leading battle as well, Milan has now dropped outside of a second, and DRS I do not think is enabled due to the conditions right now, but he is around 1 second behind Luca in the Red Bull in P1 right now. So Luca, he seems very much in control of this race. He looks like he knows what he's doing, and that car looks like it's doing everything that he wants it to do. So Luca in control and dominating right now.
Yep, Luca very much in control of the race right now. 1 second in the lead, but Milan just chipping away at it right now as we saw a penalty pop up for Domi in P9. That will be for infringements of the track limits. That's unfortunate there for the Alfa Romeo driver. But Ace, as soon as he's been looking at those overtakes of Vexit, he's dropped back just a little bit, but I'm sure the spirit of the Racing Point has gone nowhere.
Absolutely not. He will also have to be defending from Get Owned behind as well. So we've seen that when you're defending, you seem to lose a little bit of time. But yeah, the three of them, Vexit, Ace, and Get Owned fighting, it's going to be a brilliant one. And I'm looking forward to seeing how it's going to play out for the rest of the race. Get Owned has dropped back a little bit and is now defending from Rainbow in P6, so this is basically a fight for P2 in the championship because they are separated by not too much at the minute. So Rainbow is going to want to get ahead of Get Owned so that he can close that championship gap up.
Something interesting that we could pick up on is we've seen Ben go on to the intermediates.
Interesting.
What's that all about?
I mean, looking at the conditions right now, I wouldn't say it's time for intermediates because it still looks extremely wet on this track and we are still seeing the rain coming down quite heavily. So, interesting strategy for Ben. I wonder, can we see if he's got a new front wing? Has he had one of those in the pits?
Yeah, he has got a fresh front wing there for Ben, but still, we can see that he's went onto those intermediate tyres, and it's an interesting choice as it still looks very, very wet out there, and the Mercedes driver willing to take the risk though. He thinks there's not much left of his race, so he may as well try something different.
Yeah, and I'm all for trying something different. I mean, it's definitely interesting because the other drivers will be able to see now how well the intermediates are working, and you know, I don't think that we're going to see them jump onto the inters anytime soon. The predicted strategy is a wet tyre, so who knows, it might be that the rain is not going to ease up and the wet tyres will remain the best. But as we're seeing Ben come round, let's see if he can actually go for a faster lap, because then we'll know that the intermediates are the right tyres. But until then, Milan has the fastest lap, and so he's closing in on the Luca, who is in P1, which is a very, very interesting fight right now. Less than 1 second between them.
Yep, it's getting very close at the top of the tables right now. You can see Luca and Milan. It was nearly 2 seconds between them, but the Renault driver, he's really started to pick up the pace now. And Luca, surely he's starting to feel a bit of pressure on his shoulders.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, that gap does keep shrinking and then growing again. So I think Luca is very much in control of this race. I mean, he is the driver in the best placed position right now. He has the best kind of visibility, and as we're riding on board with him, we can see that the rain is easing up a little bit. So yeah, maybe in a few laps time, it will actually be time to jump onto those medium tires. And what's going on with Ace? He has jumped into the pits. Is Ace going to go onto intermediates and, you know, bite the bullet first? Let's have a look.
It definitely is an option for Ace there, and it does look like he's going to go onto the inters. And actually, I can see that as a very smart choice right now. If you look at the track, it is starting to dry up a little bit, and the rain has definitely eased off.
Yeah, definitely. So Ace has been the one to blink first and has gone for the inters of the leading pack, as we see Beaker having an incident and causing a yellow flag, but has managed to get back onto the road. So that's all good right now. He's falling down the order a little bit, but Ace now all the way down in P18. So it's whether those intermediates are quick enough to help him move back up the order quickly, or whether he's going to struggle on them for a couple of laps before they become the optimal tire.
Yeah, those intermediates, they're not looking the best right now. If you look at the gap between Beaker and Ace right now, it is 10 seconds between the two drivers, and you can see that gap just increasing bit by bit. But Ace, down the straights, very much looks like he's getting a lot more traction than the drivers ahead of him, as we start to see the times fall now as the rain is starting to stop.
Yeah, we're gonna see the times fall. We're gonna see everyone get a little bit quicker as well as visibility improves without the.
As everyone dives into pits.
Yeah, I know. I'm seeing Get Owned is Get Owned is in the pits. Yeah, so all of our leading pairs, apart from Get Owned, actually. So my bad. No. Yeah, everyone apart from Get Owned is currently jumping into the pits, all of our leaders. So we have Luca, Milan, Vexit, all diving into the pits. So everyone is thinking that these intermediate tyres are the ones to go on right now. But Get Owned, we are seeing him still out on the wets. Can he make that strategy work? Because we have seen that Get Owned is very, very good with tyres and figuring out optimal strategies. However, is he going to lose time to those guys on the intermediates who are going to be much quicker?
But intermediates definitely looking fastest right now. We saw Ace down in P18, and after the pit stops, he's jumped to P7.
Yes, so that has definitely worked out in Ace's favour. The only thing that hasn't is he was unable to jump the top two of Luca and Milan. So Ace is now net P3. The only person he's managed to jump is Vexit, which is who he was battling with before. So that is definitely a win for Ace, because although Vexit is right on the back of him, so yeah, Ace got to watch out because Vexit is on with those intermediate tyres as well. So very interesting to see what the outcome of that battle will be at the end of the race.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how these drivers deal with these conditions, especially with the top drivers. We have Get Owned, Domi, Copy, and Dennis opting not to pit, as Hugh picks up a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. That's unfortunate for him. Get Owned goes into the pits. Will Domi follow in his footsteps? As no, it looks like Domi's staying out. Now, this is very interesting from Domi. As you can visibly see, he's losing so much time to these Inters drivers. What is he thinking?
Yeah, it's very, very interesting as we see Get Owned diving into the pits as well onto those mediums. And Ace has set the fastest lap. So with Domi, I'm not really sure what the plan is, but Domi has picked up a penalty as well. So maybe he's thinking that to take a couple of risks in this race to see whether they'll pay off for him. Who knows? It looks like the Inter is the ideal tyre now, as we did just see Ace set the fastest lap. So, yeah, Inters are the tyres you want to be on. And how long is Domi going to try and go on those 8-lap-old wets?
Yeah, those 8-lap-old wets are definitely not looking good for Domi. And if anything, he's just going to be a hindrance for the path of Luca right now. Let's hope he's able to get out of the way of the Red Bull driver catching up as they go there down into Cops. He's going to have to lift off a lot, is Luca. You can see Domi struggling so much on the wet tires. This is definitely not the right choice for the Alfa Romeo driver, as he's just going to get swarmed left, right, and centre.
Yeah, we should definitely be seeing Domi diving into the pits towards the end of this, at the end of this lap, because those wets are just losing him time. He's losing time to all of the drivers in front now, and that's not who his fight is with in reality. So needs to get onto those inters as soon as possible. We are still seeing specks of rain, but yeah, he dives into the pits finally, and is the last of the drivers to make their first mandatory pit stop onto those intermediates.
Yeah, that's very good from Luca there. Fastest lap for the Red Bull driver. Ace crossed the line and completely smashes that time. Ace is flying on the intermediates.
Yeah, Ace has got those warmed up, so maybe that extra lap or two that he was able to do on those intermediates definitely benefited him, because he is now absolutely flying, and he's going to be all over the back of Milan soon, and definitely in contention for a higher podium position.
Yeah, you can see Ace catching onto the back of Milan. Maybe all these other drivers get a full wet setup on. Ace sacrificed a couple of laps at the beginning of the race, put on an intermediate setup, and is absolutely flying.
Yeah, and you know what? Something to note is that Vexit is not absolutely flying. So we saw that Vexit and Ace were quite closely matched once Vexit came out of the pits on those new intermediate tyres. But the gap between them is extending. It is over 1 second, about 1.5 seconds at the minute. So very, very interesting to see Vexit dropping off the pace. He is clearly not taking to these conditions as well as Ace has, and those tyres are just not doing it for him because he's dropping right off the pace.
Yeah, this is really not good from Vexit here. We were saying that he was really strong. He was starting to get into the groove of things, and then he's just started dropping off nearly 2 seconds to Ace ahead of him. Not really like it matters right now. But if you have a look on... Sorry, I thought the rain had stopped for a second. But no, you can still see little droplets of rain going across our screen as Ace goes into turn 1 and 2. He is very much in a position to start attacking the Renault ahead of him now.
Yeah, definitely. That gap has closed up significantly in the last couple of laps, with Ace pumping out those very, very quick laps. So he's going to be all over the back of the Renault of Milan. How well can Milan defend is what I want to see, because Luca, we are seeing, has extended his lead to 2.7 seconds, which is absolutely incredible. So Luca is absolutely dominating on the track right now. What Milan really needs to worry about is this bright pink racing point that's behind him, and he's going to be seeing him in his rear mirrors, and it's not what you want to see really with the amount of pace that Ace is carrying through.
Yeah, Ace doing a really good job on these intermediate tyres right now. 8 temps between him and the Renault driver, which put it on pole position for this race. You can just see, especially from this helicopter cam, you can see the dry line starting to form on the circuit. Now, if this track starts to evolve and keeps evolving the way that it is, I think we will start to see dry tyres between the last couple of laps of the race.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we are not even halfway through this race yet, and the line is drying out. But who is going to be first to jump onto those slicks is what I want to know. Is it going to be someone like Ben, who wants to take a risk again, or is it going to be someone like Ace, who is definitely in contention for the victory and wants to take a risk also? So that is definitely something to watch out for. We are still seeing a few droplets of rain, but these intermediate tyres currently look like the ones you want to be on, and Ace looks like he is working them to the bone as he is right on the back of Milan. So yeah, strategy is definitely something that we're going to keep a close eye on in this race, as Ace goes a little bit wide into that corner. But yeah, very exciting so far in this battle for the for P2. I think is what we've got our focus on.
Yeah, Vexit still moderating the gap between Ace and Vexit. He's starting to chip away at it a little bit. It was 1.5 last lap. Now it is 1.2. So Vexit, he's starting to pick up the pace a little bit now, starting to get into the rhythm of this track, of these conditions. And I think this really will start to pay off for him.
Yeah, we are properly seeing the track drying out as well, so maybe this is what's given Vexit a little bit more confidence to push the car even further. I mean, after that incident in qualifying, he might be a little bit reserved in pushing the car to its absolute limits, because it is much better to finish in P4 than it is to not finish the race, which is something that will be in the back of his mind following the DNF that he had from the race last week. So, yeah, Vexit, that gap is about 1.3. Oh no, we're seeing that gap fall anyway. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on Vexit and Ace, because it's looking like Vexit is and we're seeing a yellow flag. Is that a Mercedes that we can see?
That is Ben again. Ben has had a moment once again and fully obliterated the front right-hand wing of that Mercedes car. But these big gaps have really started to come across as DRS is suddenly enabled. We still do see rain falling, and but these intermediate tires look like the drivers are really starting to struggle now. Is it time to see some dries?
I mean, it's definitely time for a pit stop, as we can see Ben slipping all over the track. So I wonder if him on the who jumped onto the intermediate tyres first out of everyone is starting to feel the effects of those tyres losing their grooves. So he dives into the pit lane, but what tyres will he be going on as he picks up a 5-second penalty for pitting? And Ben is going to retire from this session, which is very fair enough, considering he has had a couple of incidents and was running about over a minute off the pace. So definitely makes sense for Ben to retire the car. But we are seeing Ace dive down, and is Ace going into the pits? No, we are seeing a move from Vexit for P3 of the race, and that was a beautiful move, as we are seeing Ace now jump into the pits. So those medium tires are not what you want to be on right now. So let's see what kind of tires Ace is gonna jump onto, whether it's gonna be another set of intermediates or more likely a new set of slicks.
Yep, so as we see Ace, he's gonna go onto those tires now. He's gonna go onto those soft tires now. That looks brilliant from Ace there. As we see the racing point, he is going to go onto the he's going to go onto the soft tires now. We see a couple of drivers staying out on the intermediates, and what's he gonna be able to do in comparison to them?
Ooh, I do think that this was the right choice. I mean, you can properly see that the track has dried up now, and now the Ace is on these new tires. The undercut could potentially be very, very powerful. So Vexit, even though he managed to get that move done on Ace, could we potentially be seeing Ace jumping Vexit once Vexit makes another pit stop for those slick tires?
So, Ace, let's see what he's able to do here. We saw him starting to struggle at the end on those intermediate tires. He dropped nearly a couple of seconds to the driver ahead of him. But what's he going to be able to do in comparison to the other drivers? Milan, he was Ace's biggest threat in the previous race. We saw him catch onto the back, drop back, catch onto the back, drop back once again. But Ace, what will he be able to do this time?
Well, yeah, he's definitely catching up to Milan. The gap is not massively closed in, as we see Milan is overtaking Dennis. So yeah, very interesting. There's still a big gap between them, but Ace will be able to close that gap up fairly quickly, as we see Copy, I believe, diving into the pit. So Milan moves up again, which is fabulous. But Vexit is also now in the pit, so let's see where he comes out, because this will be very, very crucial for track position. Did he pit one lap too late?
So Ace, yeah, we saw him pit one lap too late there. Luca, He is on those soft tyres. He is in the lead right now, but he does have a 3-second time penalty. So if Milan is able to pick up the pace and manages to gain a little bit of time on him, Luca's really going to be in trouble and under threat.
Yeah, and as we can see, that Vexit staying out on those intermediates for another lap has not done him any justice whatsoever. He's about 3.5 seconds behind Ace now, so we can see that he lost a ton of time to Ace on that lap where he was stuck on those intermediates. So not the best decision. He's going to have to reclose that gap and re-overtake Ace if he wants to get back into a podium position, although it is important to note that Luca does have that penalty, so whether the top four can close that gap to within 3 seconds, I believe, then it will be interesting to see whether our podium will stay as it is actually on track.
So, yep, we see Milan with the fastest Sector 1 out there, and fastest Sector 2 as well. But something to keep an eye on is that the Renault driver only has 8% ERS remaining. This is really going to be a struggle for Milan if he wants to gain that time on the driver ahead.
Yes, definitely. And we are seeing an incident in Sector 2. I think it's one of the Ferraris, and it looks like, oh no, it looks like the Alpha of Dummy, who has spun it into the wall on the old pitch straight. So yeah, there's definitely some damage there. Interesting to see if he can get it. Yeah, we're missing half of the front wing, so he'll be diving into the pits. Oh, and that's another incident where he has crashed into the wall, and that is going to bring out a virtual safety car, which will not be what Begsit wants, because he will want to close up the gap, and that incident from Domi is going to leave him retiring from the session. So yeah, virtual safety car, not ideal for the top three, as they will for those in P1. My apologies, for those in P2, P3 and P4, because they will want the gap to close up. But we are under virtual safety car conditions, so the gaps are going to remain fairly the same. So yes, interesting to see how quickly Begsit and Ace will be able to get off on the restart after that virtual safety car. But yeah, we're seeing that gap between Ace and Vexit extended during this slower period. So let's see whether Vexit can close it up when we go fully racing again.
Yep. So as we see DRS enabled once again for some reason on my screen, and I'm pretty sure if we go on board with Milan, you can see the track really drying up now, and just a few spots of rain, but 50% saved up from Milan now on the overtake. This is his chance to deploy it all and gain that time back on Luca.
Yeah, Luca is absolutely running away with 3.5 seconds ahead of Milan in P2, so it's time for Milan, like you said, to start closing up the gap. Otherwise, Luca will actually run away with the victory, even despite the penalty that he has. So it's a real opportunity now for Milan, Ace and Vexit to properly put their foot down and see if they can negate that penalty and jump up into podium positions. But someone that we haven't spoken about is Get Owned, who has completely fallen off, who was in contention probably for a podium position or a victory, but he has completely dropped off, and he is now in P7, just overtaking Danny Coe and moving up into P6. But he is 18 seconds off the leader of Luca right now. So would you say that has put him out of contention for a podium or a victory?
Well, I'd say it's not out of contention for the podium or the victory, but I think it really has hindered his race there. But let's have a look at Ace now. He's got DRS on the driver ahead. 7 tenths between him and Milan earlier. We saw the gap extend towards the end of that wet period. But Ace now half a second behind Milan. When's he going to be able to make the overtake?
Well, we are not seeing that gap between Milan and Luca close up, and Luca has just set a fastest lap, which has quickly been beaten by Ace. So we can clearly see that Luca and Ace are the ones with the most amount of pace in this session, and that is going to leave Milan to be swallowed up by Ace in the coming laps. So we should definitely keep an eye on that, as we see an incident with Poppy, who is dropping down the order, and that is a big spin. Must have just got onto the wet side of the circuit and just lost a bit of control. So that is the sector flag. That is the yellow flag in sector 3. But looking back to this fight at the front, the gap between Milan and Luca still not closing up, but Ace is all on the back of Milan, as we see Copy retires from the session, which has made it 3 DNFs so far for these 18 laps that we've had.
Yep, so we have seen 18 laps. Now, in this race, 8 laps remaining, and within that 8 laps, the Racing Point is aiming to overtake the Renault driver ahead of him. Vexit, 4.5 seconds behind. He really has dropped back now, and I think that unless something happens here, his podium hopes are over for this race.
Yeah, I mean, this gap is closing up slowly but surely, as we are seeing it's much clearer to see the gaps between the drivers now that the rain has completely stopped. So there we go. Luca is taking the fastest lap away from Ace again. So that leader is definitely extending his runs. Even we see Vexit taking the fastest lap. So Vexit is etching some time out of that gap between him and Ace, and Get Owned just took the fastest lap. So as we are seeing the track dry out, we are seeing those times come tumbling down as Huge just takes another fastest lap. So we're in the 1:27s now, as Beaker just makes it even quicker. So yeah, the lap times are coming straight down as everyone closes in on everyone now that the visibility is much better.
Yep, so as the visibility has improved now, this really is where drivers start to feel comfortable getting close to the back of other cars. Vexit picked up the 3-second time penalty, and that pretty much confirms his podium chances over.
Yeah, what was that for? Likely track limits infringement?
Yeah, that will be for track limits infringement. It's unfortunate for Vexit there. As soon as he starts catching onto the drivers ahead, that happens, and I really do think this may be the end of Vexit's race.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the only positive is that he has extended his lead so far ahead from Rainbow that it will not demote him out of P4. So he will retain P4 at the minute with the times that everyone is running on and with how far ahead of Rainbow he is. So that is a positive for Vexit, but definitely not what you want from this week, and it just hasn't been going well for him in this race, with him finding it difficult to switch the car on at the beginning of the race in the wet conditions, and now just exceeding track limits and suffering with that penalty now.
Yeah, so that penalty will really affect Vexit there, and if he's not careful with the drivers behind him, if he makes one single mistake, he's all of a sudden gonna be having to handle the pressure from the other Red Bull driver behind him, which is Rainbow. Luca, of course, he has that 3-second time penalty, but he's driving brilliantly right now out in front with a 4.2-second gap.
Yeah, and although he does have that penalty, I will say that he has driven exceptionally well, just like you, just to echo what you said. So extending that gap as far as he has, I think he's done an absolutely fantastic job and would definitely be deserving of the race victory.
Yeah, and I think it's fair to say that Luca, after turn 3, he's controlled this race from start to finish. Apart from the penalty, I couldn't fault him in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, definitely not. As we see Hazard picking up a 3-second time penalty as well. So we're seeing that now that the track is drying out, the drivers are pushing a lot more. They are absolutely testing the limits of the track right now, and sometimes they are exceeding them, which is resulting in all of these penalties. As we see 9 drivers currently with penalties, 9 drivers out of 17. So that is not ideal. But it is what it is, and we're seeing these drivers pushing. The lap times are coming down. I believe Vexit has has the fastest lap currently, as he tries to maintain that gap between him and Rainbow in P5 so that penalty does not demote him even further.
Yeah, so as we see us going into the final couple of laps of the race, this will be the final 5 laps as we see Luca just making his way into the final section of the track now. This will be a beautiful victory for Luca if he's able to keep this one under control now. The Red Bull driver, he's going to make his way into the final couple of corners, the final section of Club, to make his way onto the, well, to make it so it's 4 laps remaining. But Ace, 3 temps behind, not Luca, behind Milan right now. So the Renault driver under tons of pressure.
Oh, definitely, yeah. And Milan is doing well to have held Ace back as long as he has. But 4 tenths between them now. Oh, it's getting very, very close, and I would not be surprised to see Ace making a move in the next couple of laps, because he is all over the back, especially coming through this DRS zone down the Wellington Straight. He's definitely going to be getting a little bit closer, but not close enough as we go into Brooklyn. So yeah, he'll definitely be all over the back of him for the rest of the lap, and let's see what he can do, potentially down the DRS zone of the Hangar Straight. We'll see if he can close that gap up a little bit further as well and start making the move stick.
Yeah, so Ace, you can see he's got 57% of reserve ERS. Milan, he has absolutely none. He's got 0% ERS remaining on that car. This is really not going to be a great position for the Renault driver right now as he makes his way down the Hangar Straight. We see Ace all over the back of him now. He has 49% ERS at his use, not choosing to not use any of it. But the Racing Point driver all over the back of Milan. 3 temps between the two of them, 4 laps remaining. This is really going to go down to the wire.
Definitely. I do think that Ace thought better of using that because he was not close enough to maybe have made it beneficial. So maybe this is the lap that we will see him use some of that ERS and get ahead, because he's all over the back, and I keep reiterating this, but he is ready. If that Renault makes a single mistake, then Ace will be absolutely there to capitalize on it. So, oh yeah, very, very interesting, and not what the Renault wants to see in his wing mirrors right now.
Yeah, as we see Sandro pick up a 3-second time penalty. There's no one around these top 3 drivers that's really going to be able to pose a threat to this battle. As Milan, you can see 1% ERS, using absolutely everything. He's going to go down to every single scrap of ERS, every moment of ERS he can deploy. He's going to take it. And Ace, if he's not careful, he's not going to be able to get this. He really needs to pick a point, take advantage of a mistake from Milan, and deploy everything he has. Maybe he's waiting for the final lap when Milan's used up everything, has nothing left to retaliate with, and that's when Ace will pounce.
Oh, we did just see Ace go a little bit onto the grass then, so he really is pushing Milan. But do you know who is benefiting from this battle for P2? Luca. Because while these two cars are squabbling it out on track, Luca has maintained that 4-second lead from Milan and is coasting away in the lead of the race, with his penalty being completely negated, and he will remain in P1 if we finish how it is on track right now.
Yeah, but as we do finish on track right now, Luca with that 4.1 second gap ahead. Milan manages to pull out a little bit of a gap over Ace, actually. So that was not beneficial for the Racing Point in any way, shape, or form. You can see the bright pink car of Ace going through the corner now of Luffield, makes his way through Woodcote and down the straight before Cops now. 63% ERS remaining for Ace, and it's really starting to annoy me that he's not using any of it. Surely he's got some sort of plan in his head. He's waiting for some specific moment, but we have no clue what.
yeah, you've got to think, what is he waiting for to use this? And just as you were watching that battle, I was just checking up on the penalty that Luca has, because it's not a 3-second penalty, it is a 5-second penalty. So Luca is currently going to drop down to P3 if he cannot extend that gap any further. So this fight between Milan and Ace is actually the fight for the victory of the race. So it is very tense, and that has made it all the more nail-biting watching Ace trying to get past Milan, as we know how much this means now.
So a 5-second gap is going to be needed for Luca to win the race. We've been thinking this whole time that the Red Bull driver had it under control. He had everything he needed to win the race, and we finally see a tiny bit of deployment from Ace, but not as much of a deployment as Milan, as he's on 10% ERS now. He's going to save everything up that he has for the final lap to try and fend off the bright pink car in his wing mirrors. But Ace, he's going to have to dump all of his ERS at some point, as we start to see Ace using some of the overtake, dumping about 10% ERS on that straight. Surely he's going to wait after Maggots and Beckett to make the overtake, and you then use the rest of the ERS to just pull away.
Well, yes, this is now the penultimate lap, so Ace is running out of opportunities to make this move stick. He's definitely got to start using some of that ERS, and it is coming down slowly. We're around 20% now, so yes, he's making that overtake stick down the hanger straight, and it was absolutely beautifully executed. Very, very easy. Ace knew exactly what he was doing, and he has made that move stick. But will Milan try and come back at him for the final lap? We will have to wait and see.
Wonderful textbook overtake stuck there by Ace. It is Shizou versus Shizou Academy on the track right now. The Racing Point and the Renault, both part of the same esports organization, and they're both battling it out on track to see who is the top dog in their team for on track and also off track bragging rights. It will be all of the overtake used for Milan and also DRS enabled, but Ace, with that extra ERS, he's going to dump it all on the straight. He's going to hold on for it now as they make their way into Brooklands and make their way through Luffield. Now they're going to make their way through Woodcotes as well very soon. As they make their way through Woodcote now they have the tiny stretch before they make their way into the the final sector of this track. They're going to make their way into Maggots and Beckett's now. This is really make or break for Ace right now. He really needs to get a beautiful run out of Chapel as he plants the throttle, uses all the overtake he has on the exit. You can see Milan being left for dust on the exit. But has Ace actually done this at the right time? It looks like Ace is going to defend the line. Milan has a little luck for the overtake. Isn't able to make anything stick. Into Club. No, Milan backs out of it. It looked like the Renault driver was going to look for the overtake. Luca is going to cross the line, get that 5-second penalty, but it's going to be Ace and Milan who get P1 and P2 here in Silverstone. Luca unfortunately drops down to P3, but a great race there from those drivers at the end.
Oh yeah, that was fabulous and beautifully done by Ace. He waited for the exact perfect time, wasn't too hasty about making that overtake, and when he made it stick. So that is what counts really. And a very, very well-driven race for Luca, even though he has been dropped down to P3. But a valiant effort. Unfortunately, that penalty got the better of him today, but he will know that he finished first on track, and that will probably count for something in his mind.
Yeah, that was wonderful racing from everyone on the field as we see the final few drivers make their way into the final section of the track, make their way into Club. And it will be Fragioco who finishes out the grid here today. Unless Sandro has a lot of penalties, it looks like Fragioco will be taking P17 in this race, unfortunately, as we see the Ferrari driver cross the line, and that will be the end of the race. It seems like it will be P16 for Fragioco there, so Sandro had quite a few penalties. Driver of the day, Tionti, but I'd have to say driver of the day is Ace in my eyes.
Yeah, he drove Ace. Sorry to make the bad pun, but definitely a good performance, and as we can see him on the podium, he is very, very happy, and I think very, very well deserved for the top three. They displayed a level of dominance that the rest of the field didn't display today, so massive congrats to all of them as we see them spraying the champagne. What a brilliant race, as we can see that the British sun has finally come out, even though we started this race with the clouds hanging over us. So, fantastic race overall, definitely.
Yeah, amazing race from everyone in the field. It will be Ace who wins the race, then it's going to be Milan, then Luca Vexit, Get Owned, Danico Rainbow, Yonti, Tiemann, and it is going to be Hugh who rounds out the top 10 here in the race. Then it's going to be P11 Hazard, and it's going to be Beaker, Landers Milkman, Peso, Dennis, Fragioco, and Sandro, then Copy, Domi, Ben, and our retirements for the race. So that's going to be it for the European Racing Series here at Silverstone. It's been a pleasure commentating alongside you, Steph. Thank you so much for joining me once again. And
thanks for having me.
No problem. It has been a pleasure commentating for you guys at home. Thank you everybody so much for tuning in, and I'll hope to see you guys next time. Goodbye. Is comms done?